Ho Lee Fook is a tongue-in-cheek for the English name, but then in Cantonese, it means good fortune in your mouth. We have a phrase, we say, we are a Chinese restaurant with a Hong Kong heart. We are an international melting pot, there's lots of culture, it's buzzing, it's busy. You know, I want the local who walk past to come in and go, oh wow, you know, you are serving Hong Kong food, you know, you are serving food that I can recognize. But then it tastes a little bit different sometimes. It tastes, well, hopefully it's better. We have this really beautiful piece of kurabuta pork. It's the most popular cut to do char siu in Hong Kong. I would trim some of this off because I want a nice, you know, even cut of char siu. If you ask people who, you know, live in Hong Kong or people who stay in Hong Kong, come to Hong Kong, travel to Hong Kong, one of the best dishes that they've ever eaten is probably char siu. For Ho Lee Fook, char siu is also one of our most popular dish. So this is a more, I would say, a sweeter cure than savory, and then it have some 5 spice, have some pepper. I will leave it for about 4 hours, and then we will do the marination part. So this has been cured for 4 hours now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to quickly mix them so they are even. So here, you see it's like a kind of a red color. The main ingredients in here is like a hoisin sauce. So I'm going to put them in, give it a final color, but also it's a balance of flavor, right? It has a savory flavor, it has a bit of a sweetness. After I put the marination and, you know, I massage it a little bit, it will be marinated for, you know, overnight for 24 hours. So this is when I start to put a little bit of that potato starch and water. So now this has been marinated overnight for 24 hours. So now I will strip off just a little bit of the excess marinade because they will drip inside the oven. So the next step here is to hang it in a skewer that is specially designed for roasting char siu. So for now, it will hang for maybe about 15 minutes just to have the excess marinade drip, and then we can roast. The different thing about, you know, Chinese barbecue, anything that we put in the roast, we call it like bullet or like a spaceship oven. The heat is from the bottom. You can't set it at 160 or 170 or 180. It's very temperamental. You kind of have to understand it. And then there's a ring there, so we put everything inside, we hang it. Doesn't matter if it's duck or goose or chicken or char siu. It really trains your sense as a chef. Traditionally, when Chinese restaurant or Chinese barbecue shop complete the roasting, that is it, that you can eat that straight away. For us, we roast it to about 80% cook. So it's still like nice and juicy because we have to finish it dipping in honey and maltose and finish it on a charcoal. It's actually crazy to think about I'm talking about sweet and sour pork right now because I don't actually like sweet and sour pork that much. I think it's not because I don't like the dish, it's just I have not had a version that I'm like, oh, this is really, really good. You know, sweet and sour is very hard flavor to balance. Sometimes it goes like, wow, it's so sweet. Sometimes it goes like, wow, it's so sour. That's just the fundamental. And then you have the other layer, which is the fruit. You know, after working on so many elements on the dish, you know, we still want to choose pineapple as the fruit. But then we try to cut the pineapple in a very interesting way. So I guess, you know, no element on this dish is left unthinkable. That day I decided to cut the pineapple a bit differently. And I remember telling my kitchen team, okay, please don't resign, because I decided to cut the pineapple that way. It's like Tetris, right? So I think about the pineapple in 4 elements. So the first one, I start with the bottom, right? That's number 1. I turn. This is number 2. Turn back. This is, in a way, number 3. The best fruit is still pineapple, but I just, at least you go, ooh, I have had pineapple and sweet and sour pork many, many times, but I've never had one cut like this. Pork has been marinated. I'm just putting like a potato starch batter. So I'm gonna fry the 2 portions at the same time. The first fry is to obviously set the batter, make sure the pork is cooked through. Now it has like a slight deepened golden color, so I think my pork is ready. So I'm gonna take it out. Now I'm gonna quickly put my pepper, onions in, a little bit of salt. And what I'm doing here, I'm just applying very, very gentle heat so the onion have a little bit of flavor. So this is our perfume lemon tea sweet and sour sauce. They have perfume lemon tea, kind of the classic basic cane sugar, and it also has some dry preserved plum. I'm gonna push it because I kind of want it like a glaze. We have been to China, and this like perfume lemon tea is just so famous. And when I drink it, and I go, what's so popular? And then when we try sweet and sour pork again, we go, well, hang on a minute. Well, that might be an angle. Very gentle toss. And that's it. Ready to play. So we have our perfume lemon to give it a fresh, very fresh smell. And then because we make the perfume lemon tea, there's a lot of tea leaf left over and some crispy tea leaf. And then on the table, we will also spray this perfume lemon. So this is our perfume lemon tea, sweet and sour pork. Interestingly, growing up in Hong Kong, it's not common to think of a chef as a career. You know, I love to eat. I would travel around Hong Kong to, eat at different places. Have a chance to go internship, which I choose my internship in the kitchen. Enjoyed it. So went to Australia to continue my study. Ended up working in Australia for 10 years. One thing I learned the most and impacted me a lot is produce and seasonality. Having the understanding of local produce definitely have huge impact when I come back to Hong Kong. So we are getting our veggie delivery. It will have our peanut sprout and flowering garlic chive, yellow chive for our stir-fry king dish. Now this is the star of the show. I bet you have not seen it before, because I have never seen it before I come back to Hong Kong. So these are our peanut sprout. Stir-fry king is a dish that you go around different restaurants in Hong Kong, they would have their version. Usually it contains three main elements. One is like a chives element, so it doesn't matter, it's garlic shoot, flowering garlic chives, and then a seafood element, a lot of the time is squid, and then usually a nut element, which is cashew. Now when it comes down to nut element, this is kind of my favorite part because this is an ingredient that I do not know exists. When I come back to Hong Kong 3.5 years ago, obviously I walk around the market, see what's available, what speaks to me. Instantly, I know this is gonna be my nut replacement for the stir-fry king dish. For me, finding new ingredients mean my guests get to try new ingredients, right? Because sometimes it's not about the dish, it's about an experience, right? When you go to this restaurant, you go, oh, what's that? I can show Hong Kong as well, You remember, oh, I have this dish in Hong Kong. I've never had anything like that. For our dish, we have 3 seafood components, one being abalone, second being a dry seafood element, which is a sun-dried local prawn, and then the third seafood element is an anchovy. So this is the abalone that we have braised and then keep in a backpack bag. When we prep the abalone, when it comes fresh, we already kind of scrub it so it's clean, cut off the bag, and we slow cook it in almost like a master stock. Soy sauce, abalone sauce, oyster sauce, bit of ginger, scallion. So it already have a lot of flavors to it. And then when we cut, we do some little scoring. It just so when the dish is cooked, it looks a little bit more special. Each dish would get pretty much like a whole piece of abalone. So now we're going to make the stir-fry king. So first step, some water, ginger wine. When I put the garlic chives, it just helps take off that extra grassiness. So basically, when we talk about wok flavor, it's not just about the wok, it's about the burner. So it's that intense heat. So now we have our chives and we have our peanut sprout. It's a very quick blanch because I want to keep it, nice and fresh. I'm gonna put my abalone and sun-dried prawn and fry it really quickly. Now I'm gonna turn my wok on quickly to really hot. Just a little bit of oil, garlic, ginger, chili, and some preserved veg. And I've turned the heat down completely. Some Shaoxing wine. My seafood back in, vegetables in, very quick saute. If I have to pick a station that I have to stay the whole day, 15 hours a day, this is the section. Heat back down, seasoning, sugar, pepper, little bit of chicken powder, oyster sauce, yellow chives, little bit finishing soy sauce. And I'm ready to plate. And this is our stir-fry cake. So now we have got our fresh seafood delivery. I'm just unpacking. My favorite dish on the menu is the steamed razor clam with glass noodle. I just love eating it growing up. I think we just kind of take things for granted when we go to the market, right? After I travel, to Australia, to Singapore, I realized the live seafood scene in Hong Kong is incredible. The razor clam, usually the size that we steam is about 1 minute and 10 seconds, which is to us the perfect doneness of the razor clams. The spring onion on top, hot oil just a la minute, so it have that fragrant soy sauce and an aged garlic soy sauce. And when we serve it to you, it's just all this little attention to detail and love. If you try 10 different versions of razor clams in Hong Kong, I hope this is your favorite version. This is my steamed razor clams. So now, the char siu has been in there for like 40 minutes. We're gonna take it out. So we know the char siu is cooked, but not, over. So basically, now the color is a lot darker, it's deepened. Later, we will also check the temperature of the char siu, like some are thicker, some are thinner. And you'll also be able to see, the side has a little bit of a caramelization. This is kind of the look that we want, It has a little bit of color and doneness, but it's not completely burnt because we will finish the charring part on the charcoal grill. When we put on it, you can see, we're putting it on quite high at first. So it will start to warm up. We want the char siu to get that smokiness as well. In a traditional Chinese barbecue shop, they will have a tub of the honey and motors. As a restaurant level, when you order them, we kind of want to give you that prime time of it just got char, the smokiness, and then it's still very, very juicy inside. When a guest come in, experience I want them to have is it's like the whole experience. From you walk down, the excitement of seeing the mahjong tiles, you want to take photos, to when you come down, you see people are very passionate about what they do and greet you. And then you have a meal that is very authentic. Hong Kong, you feel like you're eating local food, maybe with a little bit of a twist and something that is very memorable to you. When you pay, you get a little fortune cookie. It's like, oh, what's my fortune? And then when you go out, you go, oh wow, this is very round. If that is shape, that should be a very round shape. It's a very all-rounded experience. I want you to feel very fulfilled, very enjoyed, and you want to come back.